Yeah, all good. All good. Yeah, just going for a nice, peaceful morning walk. Doing a bit of reflecting on various convos I've had around Australian NPL football and English non-league with coaches and players. And I suppose it's difficult to sort of compare the levels, but I suppose what I would say anecdotally, based on my own observations, experience and conversations I've had with other coaches and players, and what's the difficult to compare? I would say the higher level NPL Australian sides, the state T1 sides, from say New South Wales and Victoria, you could argue probably stronger than the other states, but I suppose you could also argue there's other teams in the other states that are strong too. But let's sort of run with that for now. I would say they'd be able to compete in, say, the National League North and South, which is Tier 6 in England non-league, but would probably struggle over the course of a season with maybe the intensity and pace of the game. And it's not easy to compare. I've spoken in this video before about individual players, looking at teams now. I would say the National League T5, the T5 league would be one bridge too far for the NPL teams. When you think National League T5, you've got obviously Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2. Then you've got T5. A lot of those teams, well, many of those teams are pro, they train professionally, they're full-time. A lot of the players that play in those leagues have played at some point in their career with professional teams, albeit academy, or they've been in the pro game for a few years, maybe towards the end of their pro career. So that's quite strong. And you'll see in FA Cup games and that sort of stuff, they can go head-to-head with pro teams and so on and so forth. I would probably say the NPL team players wouldn't necessarily look at a place with, say, the seventh tier, for example, the Northern Premier. That would probably be a more reasonable comparison, but all things said and done, even that level can be pretty challenging. I think the things to take into consideration would be the standard of intensity. That would be the big thing for me, week out, week in, over the course of the season. That sort of high tempo is quite direct. I think whilst technically the NPL players, technically could handle themselves, the better ones. And I suppose it's quite transparent. Each team might have a transparent level of players. The intensity, that's the big thing. And I think it's easy to underestimate. I wouldn't say it's easy to underestimate, but it's possible to underestimate the strength of the English pyramid of football, where you've got players who sort of filter down from even some of the top teams into non-league, albeit maybe at the end of a scholar, they don't get a contract, or maybe they've had a year or two in the program towards the end of the career in the program. And also bear in mind that some pro teams will loan players out to semi-pro teams, and even sometimes they'll loan players out to semi-pro teams. The players they loan out don't always succeed. It can take them a while to adjust too. So it can even sometimes you see scholar players, scholars get loaned out to semi-pro teams. They can struggle to adapt as well to the non-league level. So yeah, absolutely. So I would say, it's not easy to compare for a number of reasons, but I would say that the high level NPL, Australian State League T1 teams would be able to compete. With the National League North-South level in England, Tier 6, but probably more Tier 7. For example, the Northern Premier, with those who are familiar with that. But anyway, that's just my sort of thoughts, based on my observations and conversations. You might think differently. or might think otherwise, but that's sort of my take on it.